Hi, this is Mrs. Grosland, and I'm here to teach you Unit 4, Lesson 7. So open your textbook to page 177, grab your pencil. I don't know if you'll need your multiplication chart or not, at least not at the very beginning. So we're going to talk today about how to multiply a whole number times a decimal and a decimal times a decimal. And we're going to start out by taking a whole number times a decimal, and I'm going to give you some examples that are going to deal with money. Now, some of these might be a little bit confusing. Just kind of try to stay with me if you can. Okay, so our first problem is with a person named Leon, and he earns $213 every month. Okay, there's a picture of what his earnings look like. These are $100 bills here. Okay, $10 bill, $3 bills. Okay, so our first question is, if he saves 1/10 of his earnings, how much will he save each month? So I'm going to write on my smartboard right up above here the original amount. Okay, and he's saving 1/10. You might think of it as 1/10 like this, or if you're a person that's into percents, it's 10% of his income. Okay, so he's saving 10% or 1/10. How much is that? And they gave us the answer right here, $21.30. Okay, so what happens to the value of each bill? Well, the 200 is now two $10 bills. The one $10 bill is now a $1 bill, and the 3 ones are now dimes. So each one of those decreased or lessened, whatever you want to say there, got smaller. If he saves 1/10 of it, what happens to the value? Well, the value got smaller, but how much smaller? 1/10. Okay, it all got each of them got 1/10 smaller. Now, for number 4, we're going to take a little bit of a different approach to this than your textbook company wants us to do. They want you to think of shifting the digits. We're going to talk about shifting the decimal. Okay, so I'm going to write those two numbers a little differently down here. Sorry, my smartboard is a little bit off. So look at where the decimal is in the original number, and then look at where it is in the other number. Can you see that it just shifted one place over in between the 1 and the 3? So the decimal shifted to the left. The number shifted to the right, but we're going to focus on the decimal. Okay, and how many places did it shift? It shifted 1. So notice how there was 1 decimal place here, and it shifted 1 place. And it got smaller. If we had gone the other route, taking 1/10 of it would have given us a bigger number. And you know, if you're taking 1/10 of something, it's like you're cutting it up into tens. It certainly should be smaller. All right, turn your page to 178. Again, I'm going to write the original number up above here. So the original number was $213. And now in number 6, he saves 1/100th of it. Or again, you could think of it as 1/100th like this, or if you're a person who thinks about it as percent, it would be 1%. So how much is it now? Now it's $2.13. If he saves 1/100th of his earning, what happens to the value? Well, again, the 200 moved way over this way. The $10 bill moved over to the tenths, and the 3 ones moved over to the 1 pennies, to the 1/100th. So they each became smaller. And how much smaller? They each became 1/100th smaller. So you could write it like this, or you could write it like that. They each became 1/100th smaller. All right, now instead of the digits, we're going to talk about the decimal. Which way did the decimal shift? Well, here's my original decimal. Look where it is now. It's over here between the 2 and the 1. It shifted 1, 2 places to the left. So left, 2 places. Okay, again, notice 1/100th, 2 zeros. 1/100th written as a decimal, 2 decimal places. How many shifts do we make? 2. All right, turn over to your next page and we're going to skip this top part and we're going to do some practicing. All right, start with number 14. 24 times 1. Easiest math problem ever, right? Go ahead and write your answer. Now, 24 times 1/10 is going to be what? Shift it over one place, so your decimal's here. It's going to be 2.4. 2 4/10. Multiplying by 1/100, taking 1/100th of it, the decimal's going to shift 2 places, 0.24. Let's try number 15 over here. 689 times 1, 689. Now we're going to take 1/10 of it, so it's like we're cutting it into 10 pieces. Where's the decimal in this number? Oh yeah, it's at the end. So we're going to make one shift of that decimal. So one shift back, it's going to be 68.9. Multiplying by 1/100th, 2 decimal places, 2 shifts, 6.89. Keeps getting smaller as we keep adding decimal places over. All right, I would like for you to try these next two, 16 and 18. So pause the recording and put in answers for those. All right, let's see how you did. Number 16 would look like this, 0 and 42/100ths. Remember the decimals at the end, 2 decimal places, 2 shifts. Number 18 will be 1.2. The decimals at the end, 1 decimal place, 1 shift. Again, multiplying by a decimal, our number is going to be smaller. All right, let's go down and try one of these problems down here. Number 25. Gerard has 1/100th as much money as William. William has $125, so how much money does Gerard have? So 1/100th, you know it's got to be less, right? So we're going to take 1/100th of 125. I'm going to leave off the dollar sign. Of means times, right? So you're multiplying by 1/100th. Okay, think about 1 times 125 is 125. And then how many decimal places? 1, 2. 1, 2 smaller would be, it would look like this. But first of all, you don't need those zeros. And second of all, that's not going to be an appropriate money amount. You take those zeros off, it would be $1.25. Okay, turn your page. Now, I might confuse you a little bit on this page. Don't worry. It will all make sense at the end, but try to stay with me. So we know how to multiply by 1/10, right? And now we're going to multiply by 4/10. So think about this. What's 1/10 of 1/10? 1/10 of 1/10, right? Is 1/100th. So what is 1/10 of 4/10? It's going to be 4 of those. It's going to be 4/100ths. All right, take a look at the next one. We're going to do 1/10 of 4/100ths. So think about taking what's 1/10 of 1/100th. 1/10 of 1/100th. It helps me to think of these as fractions. I hope I'm not confusing you there. It's going to be 1/1000th, right? So now if we have 4/100ths and 1/10, instead of being 1/1000th, it's going to be 4/1000ths, like that. Okay, now I bet I probably confused you, but let's take a look at how that decimal shifted. Okay, so we had 2 decimal places here and 1 decimal place there, and look how many decimal places we have in our answer. Up here we have 1 decimal place and 1 decimal place and 2 decimal places in our answer. Okay, So looking at our answers, what's the pattern? Okay, the number of decimals in our answer equals or is the sum of the decimals in the numbers we're multiplying together. Do you remember what those are called? Sum of the decimals of the answer is a product. You multiply the factors together. Okay, let me say that again. The number of decimals in our answer, the product, is the sum of the decimals of the factors. All right, copy that down. Pause the video if you need to. All right, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take 1/100th of 4. Think about if you have $4 and you're cutting it into 100 pieces. Okay, what's 1/100th of 1? What would be 1/100th of 4? It would be 4 cents or 4/100ths. Okay, 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places. Okay, now we're going to take 1/100th of 4/10ths. So instead of 4 whole, it's going to shift one more time. So you've got 2 decimal places, 1 decimal place. All right, so how many places instead we're talking about the 4, we're talking about the decimals. How many times did the decimals shift? They shifted in this problem, they shifted 3 times, okay, and it got smaller, so the decimal shifted to the left. All right. All right, let's go on to the next page, and we're going to skip this top part, and we're going to go down to this problem right here, and we're going to use what we learned about multiplying to put in the decimals. Okay, so number 36, a little different than we've done before because there isn't any 1 here. First thing we're going to do, we're going to ignore the decimal. We're going to pretend like it's not even there. So what's 2 times 4? 8. Put your 8 down. And now we're going to count the decimal places. 1 decimal place there, 1 decimal place there. 1 plus 1 is 2. So if I put my decimal right there, I only have 1 decimal place. So that's not going to work. I have to add some zeros. So what I like to do is I'll maybe draw a couple lines because I know I have to have 2 decimal places in my answer. And my 8 goes there and my 0 goes there. All right, let's try number 38. Again, ignore the decimal. What's 2 times 4? 8. Okay, I don't have any decimal places here, and I have 1 here. So I know I have to have 1 decimal place in my answer. Right there. Now I've got 1 decimal place, and I'll put a 0 in front. Over on 37, 2 tenths times 4 hundredths. Again, I'm going to ignore the decimal. 2 times 4 is 8. And then how many decimal places do I need? I've got 1 here, 2 there. So altogether I have 3. So here's my decimal place. I need to have 3 numbers. And that 8's got to be the last one. So I'm going to put 2 zeros in front. There's my answer. All right, you try number 39. Multiply the 2 and the 4, and then figure out where the decimal goes. All right, if you did it correctly, this should be your answer. 8 hundredths, because 2 times 4 is 8, and then you need to have 2 plus 1, 3 places after the decimal. 1, 2, 3. Now, you might have noticed that those 2 answers are the same, but the problem is different. Okay? This was 1 plus 2 this way. This was 2 plus 1 that way. So it's very possible that you could multiply 2 different numbers together and get the same answer. All right, very quickly, I want you to try number 40 and 44. Pause the video if you need to. This one you should have gotten 2 and 4 tenths. 6 times 4 is 24, 1 decimal place. This one you should have gotten 0.15.